Welcome, people. It's been some time, but here we are again for the All Gunners podcast, season 2, episode 8. And with me is my brother from another mother, Zed Hazza. How we doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm thinking of changing the name of our podcast to the Inconsistent Podcast because
We're
I
not
think that
doing
fits
too
the
good.
bill
We're not doing too
much
good
better,
on
doesn't it?
supposed to. It's written on our YouTube weekly podcast, and for all 55 of our subscribers, um, apologies and beyond because we
Yeah.
haven't been. But listen, we've got excuses because we are in the holy month of Ramadan where we're both fasting. But that's a poor excuse, isn't it?
It's a
Because
poor excuse, man. We should have been back before the international break, but you know what? We took a break in the international levels as well. Hey, right, has a going
we
on your
we, we,
toes
we,
and
we,
everything.
we, we were we were knocked out alongside Arsenal in the Europa League, weren't we? That's the thing.
Yeah,
Um,
got winded, man. Got winded.
But listen, guys, today we're going to freestyle it today. We have committed and put our families and everything to one side to make this happen today. And for those who know us, that's a very, very difficult task. So look, we've got a good 45 minutes of sumptuous Arsenal talk. We have missed covering the last few games on the pod,
Mhm.
which we'll very, very quickly skim over today. Fulham away, Crystal Palace at home, and Leeds at home. Leeds, for all those who follow the Twitter account, will see that I was actually at the Leeds game, and what a beautiful piece
Yeah, he
of.
sneaked in without telling me.
I sneaked in without letting Zed because he would have nabbed my ticket, so that's why I told didn't tell him. But
I
yeah,
would have.
what a beautiful, sumptuous level of football we've been playing, which we'll cover in a few minutes. But today, guys, we're just going to freestyle it, and obviously we're going to end with a discussion on the biggest game of the season. And we keep saying
Ooh.
this, don't we, Zed? We keep
Every
saying
game is the
we
biggest
keep
game of the
saying
season now, bro.
cup
Every game.
final,
It's cup finals. That's
but
what it is.
this one really is the biggest game of the season. So wait for it, guys. We will be previewing Anfield away, Liverpool. The shock of shocks is on. But let's see. Right, Zed, let's get into
Oh,
this anyway. How have you been anyway, generally?
I've been alright, man. I've been alright. Living in the moment
How's
as
fasting?
Arsenal. Fasting's good. It's actually much easier than it has been previous couple of years. Obviously, days are smaller. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's been good.
there's
I've
less
actually been.
less light hours compared to last year, isn't it? So there's a big
Yeah, it
difference there,
is.
isn't there?
I mean, I've even played football. I've even gone gym. So it's been pretty good. Pretty good.
Impressive,
And you're enjoying it
impressive.
so far.
And life as an Arsenal fan, it just for me, Zed, it just seems
It's
very.
good. It's good. You can
It,
see,
it, it,
right?
it's good, but it's they say the hope that kills you, isn't it? Really, as an Arsenal fan, and it's the thing is, and we probably didn't cover this because in between then and now, we were knocked out of the Europa League as well, which was
We
one of
did.
the
We
games
did.
that we didn't list in our very very brief prep. But I as you know, and we've been talking about this on previous pods. I really wanted the Europa League. I really
Uh,
wanted it, and I think we gave it away. I do
we
think we threw it,
I don't know
and
if
and
we
I,
give it away though.
oh, I think we did, Zed, and I
You
tell you
think?
why.
You think?
Yeah, I think we did because you can tell now what he's tried to do here. We've literally got the best prep in between fixtures than
Yeah.
anyone in the table. Really, look at Manchester United as a comparison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that they're even
Well,
threatening us.
they're not in the title race. Let's
They're
just
not.
be clear.
They're not near. Just as an example, if you look at, they've got something like 9 games in the space of 15 or 16 days or something like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think what Arteta has done is and I always, this, I always look at his lineup to tell whether he's thrown the game or not. Um, he did
Fair
bring all
enough.
the big guns on, but I think he's decided it's the league we're going for and nothing else.
I think he did go for it towards the end because you gotta look at it this way. Sporting got one amazing goal, and that was it. They got nothing else throughout the game.
Yeah,
They don't get that goal, right? And it's a very lucky goal in terms. It's a beautiful shot, by the way. The audacity to try that and to do that is very very good. So I'm not going to take anything away from
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
if you look at how often do those kind of goals go in, not very often, right? So it happened, and then losing on penalties is probably the worst way to lose. But I'm agreeing with you on the fact that it probably is better for Arsenal to
yeah,
not be in the Europa League right now, playing some very, very tough games. And similarly with City, they're going to have Bayern Munich in between us, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so
yeah.
it's going to be very tough. And City obviously want to prioritize the Champions League, but I don't think Pep's the kind of guy who would ever let any competition go.
No.
So it'll be tough, but yes, it is overall better for us. But that means it's more pressure on to win the league now.
Yeah, and as I say, I maintain that I think we had the squad, especially with the January editions, to
Yeah.
continue in the Europa League. And my biggest fear is that we may have handed it to Manchester United. Um, you know,
Well, they could be doubling up this season then.
and that's the problem really, because if we don't win the league, and there's always that slim chance of us not winning the league, we end up trophyless this season,
Oh,
and then let's say United go and win the Europa League
Europa,
on top
yeah.
of that tin pot other cup that they've got. They have the bragging rights over us in terms of yeah, you might have finished a couple of places above us, but we've won two trophies, and I mean they're still in for three, aren't they? If you think about it, so.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
they're still in the FA Cup as well, aren't they?
yeah, so it's one
So,
of those things, really, Zed, that there's a lot of pressure, as you say. It's just got to
mhm.
work, and look, if it does work, it's a masterstroke, isn't it? You
I
know,
mean, if it works, we can look back at it and say it was brilliant. If
it
it
was
doesn't
worth
work,
it.
we
It
can.
was
It
worth
was
it. Yeah,
worth it.
yeah, yeah.
If we look back at it and if we haven't won it, it's going to look very, very dopey. So,
So yeah, moving on. Let's sort of quickly cover these games that we missed from
yeah,
previous sort of non-pods. So look, there's nothing that sticks out from me that says that there's anything sort of uncomfortable. I think that Fulham away game was probably going to be, Fulham are a very good team.
they have been good. They have been
They were
good this
missing a
season.
couple of key players then at the time,
Joao
really,
Palhinha, man,
really.
they were missing their main man in midfield,
Yeah,
which does help us. But at the end of the day, the way Arsenal played in that first half, the game was over. It was
yeah.
just that simple.
It was
I think
professional from what I remember. It was just
yes,
job done, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, they came in first half, scored 3 goals, and then just relaxed,
That's it.
managed the game,
Yeah.
and that was brilliant to go away and do that at Craven Cottage, which teams have struggled at this season.
Yeah,
They've done
yeah.
very
It
well,
was
and
professional, wasn't it?
it was very, very good win. I think if you look at it since our loss to Man City in February, and those couple of close results, let's say they have Villa away and Bournemouth home, it's been very, very good for Arsenal. 4-0 to Everton, 3-0 against Fulham, and then the next couple of games that we're going to talk about, Crystal Palace and Leeds, both 4-1 as well. I'm a bit concerned about us not getting clean sheets because we were capable of getting clean sheets in most of those games.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's always that
Especially at
odd.
home. Especially at home. We're letting goals in, aren't we?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and letting goals in. I know we're scoring more, but right now the amount of goals going in is a bit of a concern. But I think we can. The way Arsenal play, it's high risk, high reward. So it's going to happen when you play the high line. They are going to get through. They are going to catch you on the break. They can get a goal. But Arsenal have been professional in managing the game, trying to win the ball back. So it's okay. But I think for Aaron Ramsdale's sake, he really would love a clean sheet. I think Arsenal can improve on that. But
Yeah.
other than that, Fulham was professional, very good. Enjoyed watching it. I turned it off after about 60 minutes because job was done.
Yeah.
This season's been one of those weird ones, which was like I don't actually have to watch a game. I don't actually have to listen to a game. It's just done.
There's just the heart attack factor wasn't there, was it really? And it was
No,
just
no.
as we say, it was professional and it was job done, and that's what I think generally through the season, other than the odd moment here and there, with the way that we've managed games has been world class. Nothing
It has
short of
been.
world
It has
class.
been.
Just that plan really, and sometimes look, we've got away with previous results with I think there was the 1-0 against Leicester at home, I think. No, away. It was
Away,
away
1-0 away at the King Power,
at the King
and it's
Power.
like
That's it. Scored a goal. You could see that there was really nothing that they were offering. There were a couple of scares, I think.
they didn't have a shot on target. I don't know what were you thinking. They didn't have any shots on target, so they weren't getting close to scoring.
There was
So
that. I can't remember now exactly whom it was, but there was that. There was somebody had got past Saliba, and it was a one-on-one. But again, I don't think it hit the target.
no,
As I
they
say,
didn't hit the target.
but as I say, we always give teams a little bit of a chance, don't we?
Mm.
Especially as you say at home. But yeah, coming back to obviously, then we go into the Palace game. I mean,
Yeah.
again, just sumptuous, just confidence oozing, almost like managing the game as well. I mean, we're scoring lots of goals as well. We've got a +2, well, sorry, a -2 compared to Man City at the moment. So that means that if we score two more goals, um, we're on par with them. But then obviously they're yet to play as well. So we're just looking like a complete team, aren't we? I mean, the Palace performance.
We're looking good. We're looking good.
That's a
Palace
team, by the
performance was
way, in
good.
Palace that have had a good record against us, home and away, in recent
In
times.
recent times, yes, they have been good, but you can tell Palace were not. They were lacking confidence. I think this game, just before this game, they let our legend Patrick Vieira go as well. Of the 12 managers fired this season, he
Yeah,
was the one
yeah,
that weekend, or just before that weekend, who was fired. So I wasn't expecting Palace to put up a bit of fight, regardless of whether Vieira was there or not. I was expecting the result, but they've been okay this season. It's one of those games that Arsenal should win,
yeah,
but I completely get where you're coming from. That in the recent history or the recent past,
yeah,
these are the kind of games that we have lost because
yeah,
you know, and it's required a last minute Laka goal to get us a 1 point. I remember that. It's been a difficult. It's been difficult against Palace in recent history, as I say, but yeah, it
but
was a
they
good
made it look
performance.
really easy, didn't they? They made it look really easy.
Again,
Yeah.
it was one of those where Arsenal could have scored a lot more goals than they did. To be
Mm,
honest,
mm,
they could have
mm.
scored a lot more,
Yeah.
and the result could have been whatever Arsenal wanted it to be. It could be 6-0, it could be
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
7-1. It could have been. So it was a very good performance.
And then, I mean, I remember at that point, this was the game before the international break, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. This was the same week that I believe City then dropped points as well. I want to say away at Nottingham Forest.
Hmm.
I believe this was the same time that we went then into the international break, 8 points clear.
8 points
Um,
clear. Yeah.
8 points clear, and all to play for in the running. And
Yes.
yeah. So I mean, what was your feeling through that international break then in terms of? I mean, were you
I think
relaxed or?
I was happy. I think 8 points clear over a team like City is good. Every single point matters. And going in, doing the job that was needed at Crystal Palace was absolutely brilliant. I
Yeah,
think we've known this season that City are liable to slip up. They've not. Uh, Look, Premier League is a hard league, and City have slipped up on a couple of occasions.
yeah. I think as
But
well when you're in multiple competitions like the Champions League and the FA Cup, they've got arguably the best squad in the world. I know we've talked about it
they
before.
have,
And you'd imagine that they should be able to get through those. I mean, that somebody was talking about you'd mentioned earlier about the Bayern Munich game,
yeah.
and then I think there's an FA Cup game which is sandwiched in between.
There
Uh,
is there is
so
City's fixtures are quite hard looking
yeah,
in, but
but they could
they've got
technically, couldn't they? They could put a really, really good lineup out against Sheffield United,
they will
and
do.
and a strong lineup against us. Um,
Of course they will do. Look, City's squad is just absolutely amazing. It's an absolutely amazing squad. Okay, and it's been assembled very well. It's like you drop Erling Haaland, Julian Alvarez, a World Cup winner, comes in. You see how
yeah,
stupid that is, right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
drop arguably the best striker in the world, and what you've got to replace him with is a young
Well, I've
World
said
Cup
this.
winning
Said this for a
Argentinian
while
striker.
that everybody talks about the Haaland factor, and I've said this. Not many have, but I've said this that they're arguably a bit more fluid without Haaland and with Alvarez in.
Well, they are because Alvarez is a bit more of a, let's say, Gabby's Jesus
Didn't he
type
score
forward. He'll
against
drop
us as
deep.
well? I have a feeling he scored against.
I
Did
don't
Alvarez
remember.
score
I don't
against
know.
us in the league,
He may have. He may have.
or is it in the FA Cup?
He has scored some goals this season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So he scored six in the Premier League.
yeah.
I don't know if he scored
And
against
and,
us.
and what City did to Liverpool, I mean, last weekend, Zed.
Oh my God,
I
they
mean,
smacked. Mate, I'll tell you this: when it was 1-0, I was over the moon. When it
Me
was
too.
1-1, I was
Me
still
too.
okay.
Me too.
The second half started, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell?
Well, I was driving to London, as it happens, to go and watch that Leeds game,
Yeah.
and I was the same as you. I was punching the steering wheel in delight, at the same time as praying to God to leave it like that, really. But it was unfortunate. But yeah, the Leeds game then, Zed. I mean, look, I have to say this about the atmosphere at the Emirates this season. It's unlike any other season I've been there.
How was
It's
it against Leeds?
it was amazing. The atmosphere is it's as a I mean I can't remember the atmosphere being so buzzing. In fact, I don't think from any of the games that I've been to anyway, I can't remember it ever being like this. It's the sing. What I remember from previous games is singing generally comes from certain sectors of certain stands in the
Yeah,
stadium.
yeah,
Right, there's you've got your usually you've got your Ashburton army there, very very loud with their drums. Everybody can
yeah,
hear that across the ground. But when everybody sings, "We've got Mikel Arteta,"
yeah.
it echoes across the whole stadium, and that's just a different feeling, to be honest with you. I mean, I was right behind Jesus's the foul on Jesus for the penalty,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was quite high up, but I was pretty sort of in that area and behind it. Just a shame that the other bloody goals were at the other end of the pitch in the second half. I would have preferred to be on that
On
side,
this
really, to be
side,
honest with you.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate because there were some great goals, weren't they?
Oh yeah, yeah. They were.
Against Leeds. I mean, this Chaka's header. I mean, this guy is a man possessed at the moment, isn't he?
Who is this
Chaka,
guy? Who is this guy?
Chaka, the
but
last man playing in the number nine. In the box for Odegaard to just chip a ball over. I mean,
oh my,
Leeds were good in that first half. I can't deny
Leeds
they
were
were
good.
frustrating us. I don't know if you watched it
The
as well.
yeah, yeah, no, no. The Leeds were very, very good. Leeds
Were
had they
parking the
had
bus and they
very
had a chance in the sooner than the Bournemouth had scored
yeah, yeah.
against us. Yeah,
They did, and it was just the way they set up. They put their really quick players forward and everyone else behind the ball. So they were waiting for us to lose the ball and for them to break. And they nearly got a couple of things out of it. Arsenal defended well, but yeah, I think for the first 30 minutes of the game, Leeds were better.
yeah.
Remember, when we played at Ellen Road early in the season, they did frustrate us a lot as well.
That's
We were
probably
lucky to get
been
the win.
our hardest game this season, from what I
It
remember. I mean,
was,
obviously,
it
other than
was, it was
I mean, I even
City
think
game.
the game against Everton that we lost, and City. If I'm honest with you, if I'm going to compare, we played well against City. Other
Well,
than
we
the three
did. We were the
mistakes,
better team.
we were the better team. And if you want to bring the FA Cup into it as well, I remember dominating that game. What, they beat us 1-0, right?
Yeah,
We dominated that game for most of the time, but obviously goals win games. But
absolutely.
that period of against Leeds was really difficult. And to be fair,
Hmm.
if they'd have beaten us even by 3 or 4 goals, we would have come away saying we've been beaten by the better team.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they're no slouch, are they? The Leeds, they're a good team, well drilled, and that first half, I mean, we were getting frustrated. We were getting
We
frustrated
were,
because
we were, we
they
were.
were they were set up with a very very good low block, but they were, as you correctly point out, they were very very fast on the break, faster than us, because Rob
Yeah, yeah,
Holding. Although I think we can maybe talk about him in a couple of minutes about sort of how he's been doing, and he has been doing well. He's not the
yeah.
paciest of defenders. He's not a Saliba.
No, no, he's
He
not
hasn't got
Saliba.
the
He's
recovery pace of Saliba, has he?
no, no, he hasn't. But just to finish off on the results in the games, I think from my point of view, the takeaway from this Leeds game was that the rise of Jesus,
Yeah, again.
Gabby Jesus is
And
back.
we are. You know what? This is
That's the
why we
takeaway.
needed to do the podcast on the night before the Good Friday, right? Because we were always going to talk about the rise of Jesus. Look, it was meant to happen. The rise of
It was-
Jesus, right, on Good Friday as well. I mean, you're absolutely right. I think we needed to speak about Jesus. He doesn't look like a player who has had knee surgery this season.
No, he looks hungry. He looks up for it.
He
He
looks
looks. He really,
sharp.
really wants it. He
And I'll
really.
tell you something. I'll tell you one thing. I was so emotionally happy for him when he scored. I like the fact that Odegaard gave him the penalty, um,
Yeah.
in the first half. But when he actually scored that second goal of his,
Go.
oh my God, I was so happy for him. You
Yeah.
could tell the way he celebrated. Um,
He wanted that. He
he wanted
wanted
that,
that.
didn't he? He
He
wanted it.
wanted that. He wanted. Well, it's the perfect time. It is absolutely the perfect time for him to start picking up forms, to start scoring goals, because this is when we need him. This
Yeah,
is the time that we need him, and he's if he steps up in the run in now, right? The games that we've got left, he steps up and he leads this attack and does it. Every
yeah,
single penny that we've paid for him is already paid off. That's my
absolutely.
take on it.
And
Right?
and and,
If
and
he
what you
steps
get with him
up,
is the mentality, isn't it? He's been there. Him and
yeah, yeah.
Zinchenko have been there. So actually, it's not just about his play, but it's going to be his advice to all of those boys in the changing room,
It's going to be his leadership to say,
his
look, guys,
leadership,
we've
his
got this, we've
experience.
got
Yeah,
this, we've got this, we got this. Because remember, our front line is very, very young. Uh,
yeah,
you've got two 21-year-olds old flanking him in Saka and Gabriel
yeah,
Martinelli,
yeah,
right? I know they're very mature in their football, but Gabby needs to be the person who now there to say,
yeah,
look,
yeah, yeah.
calm down, boys, we got this.
And
We're
don't
going to
forget,
do
we
it.
did this against Leeds as well. Without our main man, which is Saka, has been our main man all season.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
you,
mean, but I think it was the perfect time to actually arrest Saka because he had played both games at the
well, we didn't
international
need
break.
him, and that was
We
the
did,
good thing. We didn't
and
need
that
him.
was a good. And you know what? That's absolutely that's a good thing. We needed
I'll
the
tell you
squad
what really
depth
annoyed
to
me
be able
though.
to what.
I'd captured him for my fantasy football, Zed.
You're still
And then
playing that? I haven't even checked mine. I've been
no,
so
and
happy about
yeah,
Arsenal's progress.
you're just about 5 points above me. That's what's annoying me, right? Yeah,
I haven't even checked.
all right. And what's happened is okay. If you're not gonna, if I captained him, if you're not gonna start him, why bloody bring him on for a few minutes? Do you know what I mean? In the
To
end,
give you that 1 point.
yeah, I only got 1 point. And the thing is what's sad is it's a double game week for many other teams, not us, obviously,
Yeah,
right? I could have captained any one of the other guys, couldn't I? Right? I could have captained what's his name from Newcastle? What's the right back?
Trippier.
Trippier, and I'd have got 20 odd points. But anyway, this isn't has a fantasy football podcast. Although I could do one on that. That's a good idea. Listen, Leeds was a sumptuous result. I keep using the
It
word
was.
sumptuous today, don't I? We were
You're
brilliant.
hungry, bro.
Once we scored that first goal, the football
Yeah.
Z just changed. We mentally destroyed them. Their fans stopped singing, right? And then that second half, after like what 4 or 5 minutes, we just bang 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 bang. We were just scoring
It,
for fun,
it,
and
it was just good.
it was amazing. But yeah, look, I mean, I think you were right to point out Gabriel Jesus and how important he's going to be, Zed, for the running now. Because you're right, it's not
Absolutely.
just his leadership on the pitch, it's his leadership in the dressing room. But look, I also want to point out, and this is not minimizing Jesus's impact at all. I'm
Yeah.
predicting big things. I'm predicting for the rest of this season that he is going to be spoken about a lot through the next few
Okay.
fixtures,
Okay.
including at Anfield, including at sort of Man City, at the Etihad. I think he is going to be the difference in the next sort of 8 9 games. The point I did want to quickly make before we talk about the big one, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
was Trossard.
I was actually. You know what? You just that was wavelength, bro. I was
You
actually.
see, this is why we need to freestyle more often. Preparation takes the unpredictability out of it. You see, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
is
So
is yeah.
I was gonna talk about Ross, but go on. Go on.
I mean, look, I know we've come off the Leeds bit now, but that telepathy for a guy that's been out most of the season and only just come back to have that telepathy with Trossard, that fizzing that ball straight into him, and then Trossard with the excellent footwork, moving his way into the box, Jesus just coming in, knowing that Trossard is going to return that ball into a danger area, for me was tingles. Nothing short of tingles. But I wanted to say, and I want your view on this, said right,
Go
is
on, go on.
how suitable, how much impact Trossard has had on this team, Zed.
Let me put it. I think Trossard is the signing of the January window across all leagues,
You mean
across
from
everything,
any Premier League team?
from any Premier League team. He
Wow.
has been the signing of the window. Name me one player, right? That's done better
You mean in this season?
this season. We're talking January, right? From
Yeah,
January to now.
I don't think I can. I mean,
Just okay.
your
Just
closest rivals are your Mudricks and your Felix for Chelsea. No, but look, those were the big. Listen,
the less we talk about Mudryk, the better it is.
no,
Yeah.
but look, but let's not go there. Let's not go there. But remember, the fan base had melted down when we signed
Yes.
Trossard
Yes.
instead of Mudryk. We have to bring it back to Mudryk. We have to say that the business that we did in bringing Trossard, 7 assists, and is it
Seven,
2 goals,
one
one
goal
goal,
in the league,
seven
one goal
assists,
in the league, and 7 assists.
and they're
Eight
not
goal
just
involvements in 11 games.
they're not just assists though, are they? They are assists that have been at really, really important moments through the season.
Crucial assists.
Crucial, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
Trossard's got 8 goal involvements for Arsenal in 11 games.
wow,
You tell me. You tell me a player who's had more of an impact
for 22
since
million,
January.
for 22 million, you talk about Jesus repaying every penny. I mean, that is a bargain basement Arsenal signing. That is.
Bro, that is one of the best pieces of business I've seen. And you know what the thing is? He's 27 years old, so
Yeah,
he's at his peak.
he's at
So
his
over
prime. Yeah,
he's at his prime, right? For the next 3 years to 4 years, this guy's going to be pulling up trees, and we've got him competing with all three of our forwards because he can play anywhere. He
yeah,
can play as a centre forward. He can play at the right wing. He can
yeah.
play at the left wing.
And there's
He
another,
can even
and
drop deeper.
yeah,
That's the stupid
he
thing.
can play, as an eight as well. I hear as well. But
Yeah,
look, this is what I wanted to sort of talk to you, not just about impacting his stats and what he's done. There was a big block with Martinelli
yeah.
playing with Nketiah, and look, guys, there is no podcast that is going to big up Eddie Nketiah more than this one has, right? His
Yeah.
2 goals
He's
versus
Hazza's man.
United, his clutch moments across the season. He's had a good season, and everyone would have contributed if we end up winning this league, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of play, in terms of fluidity, there has been a noticeable difference, and you don't wish injury upon any of our players, right?
No,
But
of
it
course
just
not.
so
No.
had to happen that when Eddie was injured and Trossard came in to play that false nine role, actually not just the return of Jesus, the return of Martinelli, who has been banging goals and assists ever since, right? So
He
it's not
has
just
been.
what
He
he's
has
been
been.
doing for the team, it's about the fluidity that, especially when he's playing in that false nine role, Martinelli's come alive.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know what it is? There's two reasons. If you remember, I don't know what game it was, but when Arteta benched Martinelli, the fire that lit under him because he knew someone had come in who was good enough to
That
start.
could take my place.
And
Yeah,
he could take my place. And that really, especially for a young
yeah,
kid like Martinelli,
yeah,
that really did a number on him. And
yeah,
you can see he's got his fire back because after he came back from the World Cup, he felt a bit down. I think it may have been because of the World Cup because he didn't play much
yeah,
there,
yeah,
and so. But what the way Arteta managed it has been brilliant, and Trossard for me has been the signing of the winter window across the Premier League.
yeah. He
8 goal
just
involvements,
he
11
just
games.
looks an Arsenal player, doesn't he? That's the point,
He
isn't he?
fits in. He
Yeah,
fits into the system brilliantly. He fits
yeah,
into the team. He is just great. His attitude is great. He just gets to work. He's a hard worker. You know what? It's just brilliant. I think buying a 28-year-old, I'm corrected from the previous one, buying a 28-year-old for £22 million who is Premier League proven and can take you further in your title charge. That's the best business.
well, and that's the point, isn't it? Really, is that
Yes.
come May, if God willing we win that Premier League, he's that 22 million for him is
It's a bargain.
it's a
It's an
bargain.
absolute bargain.
It's change, isn't it? Really, because
Absolute bargain.
again, don't want to keep on mentioning the M word, right? Yeah, and there's arguments
Move on,
out
bro.
there to
Move on.
say there's arguments out there to say that, oh, he's in a struggling team, and Trossard's come into a team that's playing well. I don't buy into that, because I still think you've got to be you've got to adapt.
Of course.
You're coming from, let's, no disrespect to Brighton, but you're coming from a small club, right, to a gargantuan, not just a club, an institution, right?
Hmm.
That in itself, for a professional footballer to make the transition, you're not, you what, 1 week you're playing next to Mitoma, who, with respect to him, is a good player, and the likes of
He's
that.
good.
But
I would have Mitoma, honestly. He's
yeah,
good.
no, I'm just giving an example here. The
Yeah,
week
yeah.
after that, you're rubbing shoulders with world stars. Your Gabriel Martinellis, and your Jesuses, and your Odegaards, and you know what I mean. We're a different level to Brighton, and to adapt and come into a work like a team that, yes, absolutely is doing well, but actually not be starstruck by that, and said, you know what, I'm going to get my head down. I'm going to play my football, and I'm going to give these fans a Premier League. I mean, that's professionalism in itself.
Mate, you've just said it. You've just said it. I can't add anything more. I'm already loving everything Trossard is
I
doing.
might even get a
And
Trossard shirt, to be honest with you. I can't lie. I love the guy. I loved what he's done. You could afford him some more time and say, oh, you know what, make excuses. But what we've needed from him, he's delivered
he's delivered.
actually
He's
more.
delivered.
He's exceeded
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
wanted, you know?
He has.
So,
He has. He's been brilliant, man. He's added more creativity than we had before, and we know he can finish as well. But his most of the time his play is very unselfish. He sets it up for his teammates, and it fits in. And I think he just fits in. And using that as a segue
yeah.
before, yeah, using that as a
I know
segue.
where
My
you're going to
question
go
to
here
you
now.
is,
I know where you're
you
going to
know,
go. I know where
who
you're going to go with this.
starts?
I
Who
knew it.
starts at Anfield?
I knew you were gonna. You know what? I was about to segue into it like that, to be honest with you, right? Yeah, but yeah, I knew that's what was.
So
Oh,
before we go into how big of a game it is, we
yeah,
know how big of a game it is, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I want to ask for your starting 11 before we go any further.
You know what? It's really close, isn't it? In terms of the Trossard Jesus argument. And we know Saliba's going to be injured. We know
Saliba's out. Saliba's out.
Saliba's not
So
gonna
the
make it.
back four is going to pick itself.
The
So the
back
back
four
four
will
will.
pick itself. The goalkeeper will pick itself. The midfield will pick itself. The only contentious area is obviously, as you've just touched upon, and almost taken the segue away from me that I was about to segue into. Look, I've given this a lot of thought in the last week or so,
Okay, one.
and I have to, I have to just, and it's an absolute edge here, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be going for Gabriel Jesus, and I know you're going to be giving me arguments that Trossard has scored a hat trick at Anfield already this season for Brighton. I just think that I want to start with, because we can't drop Saka. Saka is big
No, no,
game. Saka is
Saka's
Mr.
not
Big
a.
Game. He
No,
is
no,
Mr. Big
Saka's
Game,
not an
right?
option. Saka's not an option.
Right.
He's starting. He's
You
starting.
cannot drop Martinelli, because again, the
Can you
form
not?
that no, because the form that Martinelli is on at the moment is, if you're going to argue for Trossard in a second, which you might be playing devil's advocate, you might not be, I don't know.
God.
You'd be potentially arguing on history. I'm arguing
Yeah.
on form at the moment. I'm saying that, since Martinelli, I mean, look at Martinelli. He missed that penalty in the Europa League,
Yes,
right?
he did. Yeah.
And then he came back and banged against Crystal Palace. You wouldn't have even known that he'd missed that penalty the way he played. He came back like a man possessed. Martinelli's undroppable at the moment for me, right? And then you've got
Okay.
Jesus, right, who's scored 2 goals. He's got the bit between his teeth. He's got everything to prove, everything that we've spoken about on this podcast today. Um, for me, it's got to be Jesus, Saka. a Martinelli for that front three.
All right, so let's get with it. We got Rob Holding in for Saliba. That's the only change.
Yeah.
The midfield is the midfield. We know what it is. We've got Granit
And
Xhaka,
we'll have
we've
a
got
discussion about
Odegaard,
Rob
we've
Holding in a
got
minute as
Party.
well, I think, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, we will. We'll touch upon. We'll touch upon it. But okay, for me, honestly, it's a very, very difficult, and this makes Mikel Arteta's job very hard because Gabby Jesus is going to be sitting there like a child, like buzzing. He's going to want to play in one of the biggest games that Arsenal's going to have. And our record at Anfield is absolutely atrocious. And when I mean atrocious, it means we go there and we get schooled. We haven't won there, I think, in probably 11, 12 years, something stupid like that.
Yeah.
We don't win there, right? So when you say a player's on form, I think our front three, the on form front three, are Saka, Martinelli, and Trossard. Gabby Jesus has just come back. And as much as I love this guy and what he brings to the team, look, if Arteta starts him uh, on what you call on Saturday, I'm not going to be crying about it. Okay? I think he could do a job. But for me, I would rather have Gabby Jesus sitting on the bench and then itching to come on when the Liverpool defence gets a bit tired. When Trent is a bit tired,
Yeah.
when Joe Gomez is a bit tired, then you chuck a player like Gabby Jesus who knows how to dribble in there, and that is just going to be killer. But
Listen,
I know I'm going to agree with you on the fact that I think Arteta is going to start Martinelli,
yeah,
Jesus, and
and
Saka.
we're not going on what he would do. We're going on what I want, really, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. And this is, look, I see your argument, and it's a very good argument. But I would argue that when you're at Anfield and it's Anfield,
yeah, yeah.
that tenacity that he brings, and that's the thing is that it's unfair for us to compare Trossard and Jesus. But what you've got is you've got
It's a very good problem to have, man. That's what
it's
I'll
an
say.
amazing problem to have. But what you've got is you've
Yeah,
got a far superior presser in Jesus, right? We will cause problems
yeah,
to Liverpool a lot earlier if Jesus is on the pitch from the start, right? And that's not to say that Trossard can't do those things, but what I think will happen is that I think you'll take Jesus off things going well at around 65,
yeah.
70 minutes, right? You'll bring Trossard on with a very tired Trent, Van Dijk, Matip,
You're chucking that back
Robertson,
at me,
right?
right?
Right? Yeah, no, because you're tactically looking at it, and I'm tactically looking at it, right? Yeah, that look, football is all about what could happen when
Yeah,
you're planning tactically, aren't you? Right? But if all goes well, you're bringing on a fresh Trossard again with his bit between the teeth because he'll be saying to the manager, "You should have started me, and I'll show you
yeah,
why." Right?
yeah,
And look, look, as you say, it's a brilliant problem to have, right? But
yeah.
I would just say, just because of the two goals, just because of what this means for Jesus and what this could propel to the rest of the squad for the rest of
Hmm.
the season. I think we get, and we're going to come on to obviously discussing the game, but I think we get a good performance up there. What it does to the rest of the squad, Jesus and the boys, um, it will be unlike anything ever seen in football.
Yeah, yeah. I think.
I'm convincing you, aren't I? I can see you've got that thinking, that thinking based on.
Look, as I said, I don't think there's going to be a downside to any of it. Okay, I don't think it's whether Trossard starts or whether Jesus starts. I think it's both a strong team. But my next question to you is going to be: is I've taken over the host responsibility suddenly, haven't I? Just asking you the questions. But what do you think? It's a very hard game for us to go there, and it's potentially a season. Well, not potentially. It is a season definer for us. If you go there and win, I am going to be fully believing that Arsenal can win the league this season.
Yeah, I'm with you. You're not going to get an
That
argument
that,
from me. This is this
that's
is
where I am.
as
Right now,
as
I'm still 50-50.
listen.
But if you win at Anfield,
You're not going to get a lot of people agreeing with me here. This is,
yeah,
regardless of their form, this is a harder game than the Etihad game.
Absolutely. You go away to Anfield. You better be prepared to suffer. And I think that's exactly what Mikel
I've been
Arteta will be saying.
watching I've been watching some of the football terrace today with Big Steve and Terry and
Yeah.
Big Steve from Manchester City says Anfield has scared us,
Yes. Of course he has.
and that's
Anfield is
Manchester
scary.
City. That's
Yeah,
Manchester
Anfield is
City.
scary.
You know,
As, honestly, if we win at Anfield, I think it's Arsenal's in the driving seat. Okay, you're agreeing with me on the City game, Liverpool game. Go on then. Before we finish, prediction time. What do you think?
difficult one, Zed.
It
Difficult
is
one.
difficult. It is a difficult
look,
one.
look, look, look. The form that Liverpool are in, and it's probably going to sound like I'm contradicting some of what I said earlier, but no, let's bring form into it, right?
Yeah.
I'd be disappointed if we even left there with a draw. If I'm honest with you,
Okay, you're at that now.
I think we have to win, and not just for the league title, but for confidence, for breaking the hoodoo. We have to win this game, and I think
Hmm.
the boys will. I think the boys will
Okay.
absolutely know what's at stake here, and I think 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah,
Okay. I think. Look, this is a very scary place to go to, and I think Arsenal. There's a full 50-50 chance that Liverpool will just turn up and just beat
like
us.
they did against
But
United. Yeah,
exactly, I don't think we'll lose 7-0. Let's get that straight.
let's hope not.
Uh, yeah. Barring us not getting a red card, which is always there, I think we can probably win there, but I'm going to say 3-2 to us with a late goal from Saka.
Okay,
That's where I'm going. I think we can win, but I don't think
so
it'll be
so it
easy.
sounds like
I
they'll
don't
be in the
think.
game. Then it sounds like you're saying that this won't be one way;
Oh
they'll
yeah,
be in
yeah.
the game.
Oh no, no, absolutely no way. Absolutely no way. I honestly think they may even score first,
Hmm.
right? Because we've been uh, we've been susceptible to that early break.
Yeah, but you know what happens with us when teams score first. The
Exactly, which is what I'm saying.
the animal comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. That's it. I think for me. Um, so yeah, I think it's a
Yeah, well, look, this is the biggest game of our season. There's absolutely no
yeah,
doubt about it. We need to win the game, Zed, and I think we will. And look, I don't want to take other pods away, but you're absolutely right. I do feel if we get over this hoodoo, we go and win the league. And the reason why
absolutely.
it's every game that edges closer to the end is mathematically edges out needing to win at the Etihad.
Well,
All of
we've
a
got three
sudden,
games before that. We've got
yeah,
3 games
yeah,
before
but
that.
everything after the Anfield occasion becomes about, because you'd hope that the games in between we dispatch, you know.
This is the Premier League, mate. Nothing is guaranteed. We've got West Ham away. We've got Southampton at home. Then we've got
Yeah,
City. We've
three.
got Chelsea at home,
That's
and
two.
then
That's two victories for me, and it's great news also that Chelsea have just appointed
Frank
Matt Frank
Lampard.
today, because it's like having no manager to play against. It's you
Do,
might
do,
as
do you want to know something funny about Frank? He managed 38 games for Everton and got 35 points. So his game to points
Congratulations.
ratio was less.
Congratulations to Chelsea on that one. We can't wait to play you. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too cocky, but yeah, look,
Yeah.
I think the two games in between City, if you're going for a league title, there need to be must-win games, right?
Yes.
But what I'm trying to get at here, Zed, is mathematically needing to win at the Etihad. If we beat Liverpool, we start thinking about, well, actually, we could probably get away with a draw at the Etihad, you know.
Yes.
And then if that's how that works out, we beat Southampton, we beat West Ham, we draw at the Etihad. I think we're on the home run.
We are. And look, if you look at the games versus what City have or what we have, City have got an easier run. They've got Southampton, they've got Leicester, both looking at relegation. The game against us is the hardest game they will have. They've got Fulham away at Craven Cottage, probably the hard one. West Ham again, relegation. fighting, Leeds again relegation fighting, Everton again relegation fighting, Chelsea close to relegation fighting, and then Brentford.
Mm.
So I think in terms of their hard games, the hardest game is Arsenal, then Chelsea, and sorry, Arsenal, then Brentford, then Chelsea.
Haven't they got
So
Brighton as well in the mix?
they've got Brighton, but that's not decided. I don't know when it is, but the Brighton game will be the hard one as well. So I
Mm.
think compared to us, we've got the Liverpool, we've got West Ham, Southampton, City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've got Newcastle and Brighton in between Chelsea and Manchester City and Liverpool now. So yeah, I think
Let's leave that to other pods to cover. Yeah,
yes, definitely.
I think we've smashed a good conversation today. Zed,
Yeah.
where can we find you on Twitter, etc., etc.?
You can find me at Zed underscore Zafar on Twitter or at the official podcast channels, which are TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at the bottom of the right hand side of your page. So, yeah, look forward to hearing from our 50 fans.
Okay, guys, you can find me on at Harry Kanu, and we look forward to seeing you at the next pod. Take care and God bless.